My name is Jordan Daly, I am 23 years old and I am from Bonnybridge. I think there's more than one, to be honest. I do a lot of work in schools with LGBT young people and with young people generally, and I would say that many of those LGBT young people are who inspire me. A lot of them have got a lot more confidence than I had at school. They've got a lot more guts to be themselves at school and be open with who they are at school, which I think for a long time a lot of generations of LGBT people my age and older did not have. And in the work that we do, it's those young people that routinely inspire me to kind of continue on. Being 23, I kind of in my teenage years caught that point where the country started advancing a lot more and thinking a lot more about equality and thinking a lot more about justice and thinking more about how do we lift the rights of people that have for a long time kind of historically been marginalised in the country. And so in hindsight, when I think back, I think kind of living through that early period of seeing more mainstream representation of LGBT people, of women, of people who have been kind of pushed out for quite a while, and watching that in its early days and seeing what it's becoming now, I think is probably what was the best part of growing up in the country for me, is living right in the epicentre of that moment. That we're not daft, that 16-year-olds should be allowed to vote all across the UK, that young people, this generation of young people is a really interesting one, and I think it's one that is going to define where we move as humans, where we move as a society. And I think part of the reason for that is because a lot of them are growing up a lot quicker, a lot of them are more tech savvy, their lives are on social media, they're living on social media, and I've been thinking quite a lot lately about the impact of that for young people. And I think it's obviously got its downsides and its negatives, but what we have now is a generation of young people with access to much more information. They're much more kind of fluent in their arguments. They understand the world around them a lot more. They are rejecting a lot of these problematic structures and barriers that have been placed up for generations, which led to the inequalities that my generation faced, the inequalities that generations before me faced. And I think that if we're serious about having conversations about what would a better Scotland look like, what would a better country look like, how do we progress and advance as a nation, how do we lift human rights, then we need to centre young people in those conversations, because it's for them that these efforts are happening, and they understand these issues a lot better actually than most people. In the work that I do, I've spoke to politicians, I've spoke to civil servants, I've spoke to senior politicians, I've spoke to people all across the kind of age divide, and it's young people who have the best ideas, the brightest ideas, and are the most enthusiastic about what it will take for this country to be the best country in the world. Probably my role in achieving LGBT inclusive education in Scotland. The TIE campaign started in June 2015. I co-founded it with Liam Stevenson. And just interestingly, I suppose, in the kind of youth conversation that we're having, and he'll kill me for it, but there's a generational divide between us, and that was really good. The fact that Liam was older than me, and I was 19 when I started the campaign with him. And so we were both able to come at it from quite different perspectives, and there was a bit of a kind of fusement in the middle. And that campaign really, the last 3 years have been a bit of a whirlwind. We won the support of the Scottish Parliament, we won the support of parents' forums and the teachers' unions. All of the trade unions in Scotland came out and supported us. The First Minister supported us quite early on. And that all kind of culminated earlier in November, when the Scottish Government announced that the working group which we had worked on had concluded, and that they'd fully accepted all of the recommendations that we had made, effectively making Scotland the first country in the world to have LGBT inclusive education in schools. And what that means is that young people will learn about different aspects of LGBT history in Scotland and across the globe. They'll learn about the impact of prejudice against the LGBT community, where that comes from, why it's remained. And we're really kind of equipping young people to think a lot more about the inequalities and prejudices that they experience around about them, and do a bit more within schools to try and stamp out LGBT bullying. I was nominated in the Enhancing Education category, and the category was for someone who has kind of made changes to Scottish education which would improve young people's experiences. I won that award, done my speech, gave everything away, and then sat back down, and then towards the end of the ceremony, Nicola Sturgeon came out and started talking about the overall Young Scot of the Year, and Liam kind of turned to me, because he was sitting next to me, and was like, I think you might win this. And I was like, nah, I'm not going to win this. Like, I'm too old. There's other young people here who have done amazing things. And then the minute that she had said, this person's a tireless campaigner, I was like, oh no. And immediately my thought process was, what do I say? Because I've just said everything in this speech. So that was really unexpected, that second award. But the second award was for Young Scot of the Year of 2018. So that was really quite an accolade. We've got a few years left of work with the Scottish Government, so in the immediate future what I would like to see is for the implementation group, which we will be part of, to go smoothly, to be successful, and by 2021 to see LGBT education fully implemented in schools. That will happen. I think what I would like to see in future, I hope, is that the work that I've done, the work that Ty's done, really kind of lays a solid foundation for the climate of homophobia, biphobia and transphobia in our schools to really drop, to eradicate that type of behaviour in schools, to improve the experiences of LGBT young people. I hope that the work that we've done really kind of sets that in stone and moves us forward into a country where LGBT young people are free to be who they are, and they can do that without fear or without prejudice or without ostracisation in schools. So my future goals are to see some of those really disgustingly high stats in relation to LGBT young people and their experiences in school really decrease and ultimately be eliminated. If you're looking at the country around about you and you see things that you're not happy with, if you're hearing arguments that you're not happy with, if you're picking up newspapers and reading headlines that you're not happy with, if you think that there is something broken currently, if you think that there is an inequality outstanding, if you think there's an issue that you want to tackle, if you can imagine a better country, if you can imagine a better situation for someone in the country, if you want to do something which lifts people up, then don't think that your idea is ridiculous. Don't think that you can't do it. Don't think that you need money to do it. Don't think that you need a huge amount of support to do it. I would hope that if what I've done with Ty can prove anything, it's that if you've got an idea, just run with it. We are lucky enough to live in a country where our parliament is accessible, where our government is accessible, where our media are generally quite friendly towards issues of equalities and human rights and injustice. And my message to all young people across Scotland would be that the responsibility for shaping a better country really lies with you. It's not going to come from other generations, and things are not just handed to us on a plate. If we want to see something change, then we really have to go and do it ourselves. And my message is to go out there and do it.